A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Good morning, Buckeye Nation. Rise and shine. It is game day. This is Tyler Johnson with Nick Leisure for your Ohio State game day preview. And the Penn State Nittany Lions come to town for what's going to be a fantastic football game today. And we have your game day preview here for you. This is episode 33 of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. Nick, how you doing this morning, man? This is the game we've been waiting for a while, and it's going to be a good game. I have to admit, I'm a little nervous, but how are you feeling today?
Yeah, I was just about to say I'm pretty nervous myself. A lot to look forward to. Penn State's first really true test. I mean, the Buckeyes, you could argue they've already had one of their biggest games of the year already with going to Notre Dame and getting a victory out there. But, yeah, I mean, Penn State coming to town, big noon kickoffs here, college game days here. Everyone that watches college football is going to be watching this game at noon today.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm excited for this one. I know all the fans are for sure. But, of course, before we get into it, as always, guys, be sure to drop a like onto today's video. Help that YouTube algorithm grow, which, again, is really important for Network 216. But also subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, as we are trying to reach 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And as always, the Scarlet and Gray Podcast and Network 216 is proud to be a partner of Homage Athletic Apparel. You know, if you're watching this early, if you get down to Homage in Columbus before the game starts, you can get yourself some Scarlet Out gear. They have a complete clothing line that's Scarlet Out. It's all red. A lot of their gear that they have for this weekend. So make sure you go check them out. But also, if you want some Ohio State gear, just go to homage.com. They always have great deals for you guys to check out. And, Nick, this game, it's going to be a battle. There's no way around it. I don't think it's, personally for me, I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. But what are your expectations for the Ohio State offense today? Penn State's got a pretty good defensive line. They have a lot of experience on the defensive side of the ball. What are your expectations for this Ohio State offense? Because I think they might struggle a little bit today.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is just don't turn the ball over. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And obviously, with this offensive line, a very tall task. I mean, a Penn State team coming in with 27 sacks on the year already. I think I counted 6 players that has more than a sack and a half. So, I mean, it's really going to come down to keeping Kyle McCord's jersey clean today and how well that offensive line performs. Because if the offensive line performs poorly, the offense is not going to be able to get going. I mean, McCord and the stable of running backs can only do so much on their own. So it's really just going to come down to how good this offensive line is prepared and how well they play today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the matchup I really want to see, and I know a lot of NFL scouts are going to be at this game today, and understandably so. Penn State has got some really good players in the secondary, but there's no one that sticks out more than cornerback Kalen King. He is going to, I assume, shadow Marvin Harrison Jr. It'll probably be Marvin's biggest test of the year so far. Kalen King is one of the better cornerbacks in this draft class. How do you expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to perform today? I think he's still going to play well, but I don't think him getting 100 yards in the first quarter is going to happen again this week. I just think Kalen King is really good. Joey Porter Jr. was good on Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, but I think, as always, Harrison has the advantage, but this is going to get him a little bit of a test today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know if you have to find a weak spot in Marvin's game this year, and, that's kind of hard to do, but it's definitely getting off of press coverage. I mean, obviously, if you're going to give him cushion, he's going to be able to break you off and he's going to get open. But press coverage, for some reason, seems to give him I'm not saying it's like a weakness, but it's been one of his softer spots this year. So it'll be interesting to see how much man coverage they play with Marv. I mean, I'm sure they're going to, because with their D line and how much pressure they can get bringing 4, I mean, they're probably going to man up a lot and just have safeties over the top to kind of relieve pressure. But I think Marvin's still going to do his thing. It'll be interesting to see if we get Emeka back today. So we still don't know. So if Emeka comes back, that definitely is going to be a big deal, because then a lot of pressure is going to be relieved off of Marvin. Because, I mean, without with Marv, without Emeka, it's pretty much Cade Stover's probably your number 2, and then probably Julian Fleming. So those are probably the only 2 other guys that have really proven themselves in this receiving core, other than Emeka and Marv. So I think it's just going to depend on how well Marv comes out and plays. He's going to make plays no matter what, but it's just a matter of if they're big plays or if they're just going to hold him to underneath stuff today.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm worried about today, honestly, where I'm going with this. Penn State generated a lot of sacks this year so far, 27 to be exact, which is really good. They are led by, on the defensive side of the ball, Adisa Isaac, the 6'4", 254-pound senior. But also, Chop Robinson's got 3 sacks. Isaac's got 5. I mean, they got Zariah Fisher's got 2.5. They have a lot of guys with 2.5 for 2 sacks. My biggest worry in this game is that Ohio State offensive line. They played a lot better against Purdue, okay? There's no doubt. That's Purdue.
Yeah.
This is Penn State.
Exactly.
So I think for me, the biggest thing in this game, you have to be able to protect Kyle McCord, or else he could have a really long day. Mm-hmm. Also, man, you got to find a way to open up holes for if Travion Henderson plays, Mayan Williams. That's the other thing.
Whoever's going to play running back.
For those that are of course watching this, like, we don't know right now who is playing. We won't until probably an hour before kickoff.
Yeah.
But whoever's playing, man, you got to be able to open up holes, and for this running game. That way you could take some pressure off Kyle McCord, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on Kyle McCord today to probably carry this Buckeye offense.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, in Ryan Day's press conference that he holds every Tuesday, he didn't really go into depth on who's playing, who's getting reps in practice, how practice will go this week, kind of deal. I mean, obviously, with what we saw last week with Dallin Hayden, you would think if these other guys aren't 100%, I'd almost give Hayden the nod, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. Like I said, on our episode earlier in the week, I was really high on Dallin. I feel like he's the best complete back all the way around. But obviously, if you get Travion back, he's your big hitter. Mm-hmm. He's your big guy down. I mean, he makes the big plays happen. So, gosh, I don't want to have to rely on McCord like 100%. I mean, I know he can do it, but obviously the running game is going to be really important to try to take some pressure off of McCord today.
Yeah, it's going to be a big factor for sure. So what does this offense have to do before we move on, and how the Buckeye defense has to contain Penn State? What does this offense have to do, you think, in order for the Buckeyes to win today?
I think they have to control the ball. I mean, honestly, because Penn State, they got a couple of really good running backs. And obviously they have the Ohio boy, Drew Aller, running the offense this year. But I think really they just have to take care of the ball and win the time of possession. Because, I mean, we both agree this game probably won't be super high scoring. A lot of really good both defenses have played really well. And it's going to be a dogfight in the trenches. And it's really the offensive line just has to come ready to play. If the offensive line does 3/4 of how well they played last week, I think the Buckeyes will be very successful. But you never know. This game, I mean, realistically, in the last 10 years, it's probably been more of a rivalry than you could argue Michigan. I mean, and it sucks that this game is not going to be played every year moving forward, just because of the new teams coming in, and they didn't want to be they didn't want to have a protected rivalry, stuff like that. So this game is going to be super competitive, and really the offense has just got to do what they do. You know, they don't need to force anything. Just kind of get McCord. He's been really good at just taking what the defenses have been giving him. So hopefully he can just continue to do that, and Buckeyes will come out with a big W. But yeah, it all comes down to the offensive line and how well they play today.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with pretty much everything you said there. Now flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, Penn State produces one of the most talented set of running backs in college football. Drew Allaire has not thrown an interception. He has 12 touchdowns on the year, been sacked 4 times, thrown for nearly 1,300 yards. So he hasn't turned the ball over. But I think the key to this game is the Buckeye defense being able to contain that Penn State running game. Now, they have not had, like I would say, a breakout game.
Yeah.
But if you look at one of the best duos in the country, Katron Allen, 5'11", 220, 1-pound sophomore, has 375 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 4.8 yards a carry on 78 attempts. And then Nicholas Singleton, 89 carries, 362 yards, 4.1 yards a carry, and 6 touchdowns. And I should add for Singleton, he also has 111 receiving yards and a touchdown. So I think it begins and ends with that Penn State running game. If you could make Drew Allaire beat you, not that Drew Allaire's bad, but he hasn't shown that he can, at this time, carry that offense. If you can contain this running game, I think the Buckeyes are going to come out victorious on Saturday against Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, Singleton's kind of had a weird year this year. He really hasn't had like that signature game, and I feel like he was the guy that has really been a nightmare for us, in games past. But I mean, Katron Allen, obviously, he's leading the team in rushing this year. But Singleton, I feel like, is more of the big play guy. Like Katron, he's more. I mean, I'm not saying like he's not as good. I mean, because he's averaging 62.5 yards a game. So, but I feel like he's just more of like your grinded out kind of back. While Singleton, he's your big home run hitter. And I mean, I think last year, I heard it on the Fan today. I think they said last year he had maybe 8 or 9 runs over 40 yards, and he's yet to have one of those this year. So it's just going to come down to how well that the D line plays for the Buckeyes. They've been really good. Last week against Purdue, they were really good, and Purdue couldn't get anything going. So, and I've just been so pleased with how well Tyleik Williams has played. I know we talk about him a lot, but he's been an anchor. Him and Michael Hall both have been anchors in that middle. But it's going to come back. Linebackers have to be better than today. They really do, because they haven't played that complete game yet. So Steele and Tommy are going to have their hands full, because not only does Penn State like to run the ball a lot, but they have some really good tight ends that make plays in the passing game. So they're going to have to worry about that also. So the rushing game is going to be big for Purdue, because, like you said, Allen really hasn't, huh?
For Penn State, you said Purdue.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good.
It's early, man. Leave me alone. But with Drew Aller being a freshman, and I mean, this is really his first true taste of Big Ten football. I feel like on the road at the shoe, top 10 matchup, all eyes are on him. So I feel like if we shut down the running game and we're going to make Aller beat us, if he can find a way to do it, then I mean, all you can do is tip your cap to him. But I feel like the Buckeyes are smart. They're going to try to make Penn State beat us through the air today.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the key that you have to do, because, again, this Penn State running game, they haven't really broken off any huge gains this year, but they can. I mean, very easily.
Well, they're still averaging over 200 yards a game on the ground,
which is hard to believe.
You know, we're here talking like they haven't really gotten it going yet, but they're averaging, over 400 yards of offense a game. They're putting up 44 points a game. But then you got to look back at their schedule. And they're basically coming off a bye. I mean, they played Massachusetts last week. That's just a throwaway game, So it's going to be a tall task, man. And I'm pretty nervous. I know I do this every week. I'm always nervous going into games because you never know what you're going to get. But I feel like every week this team's improved. in areas that we've talked about on the show that they need to show improvement, and I feel like they've done that. So it's just they're just gonna keep getting better, and they really just have to come out ready to play today from the get-go. We need another fast start like last week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think in this game, most importantly, continue to do what we've done all year. Do not give up the big play. If you don't give up the big play against this Penn State offense, I think you're going to be okay. But again, you need the offense to do enough in this game to carry you. I mean, because Penn State is going to come out, they're going to try and punch you in the mouth because James Franklin's never beaten the Buckeyes, or he maybe has once. I mean, he's not been very good against ranked teams. So go out. This is the opportunity for the Buckeyes to really make a statement because this is a game that I think at the beginning of the year, I even said it wouldn't shock me if we lost this game. So go out and prove me wrong. Go out, and I'm gonna end up picking the Buckeyes. Give scores here in a second, but this is gonna be a dogfight. Right now, the Buckeyes are 5.5-point favorites at home. It's going to probably be a little rainy, probably a little windy. It's a typical fall in Columbus, Ohio. So with that being said, do you think the Buckeyes are going to cover that 5.5? And what do you think ends up happening today?
I think they cover. I think 5.5 is a good sweet spot. I think it'll be close the whole game, though, obviously. And then hopefully the Buckeyes pull away in the fourth. But something to note that I just mentioned earlier, and I'll mention it now. Penn State, after halftime, they outscored in the games so far. They've outscored their opponents 87-0 in the third quarter. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. If the Buckeyes are able to, if Penn State comes out and they get the ball after half or something and responds. But no, I think the Buckeyes cover. I think they win by a touchdown today. Score is not going to be very high. I don't know what the over-under is on the score, but I think if either team scores 30 points today, they win by more than enough. You guys want me to get into my prediction now too?
Yeah. Might as well just give your prediction and let's wrap it up.
I think it's tough, man, because you know how this offense is. They have the ability to be explosive really quickly, and I think with the freshman quarterback, I think Jim Knowles is gonna dial up some nasty stuff, and try to make him uncomfortable. And I think the Buckeyes get at least one interception today. Also, I'll put that on the record.
Wow, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, I think Aller throws his first pick today.
Okay.
I think the Buckeyes win. I'm gonna say 24-17.
Ooh, okay.
I think with the questionable conditions, grind it out in the trenches. I'm pretty good. 24-17 Buckeyes cover the spread. They win by a touchdown. They continue on their roll.
I think this is going to be very close. And at the beginning of the year, because I like to go through and kind of think, well, who is Ohio State going to lose to? Originally, I thought the Buckeyes were going to lose this game. Yeah. But what's persuaded me since then is that performance at Notre Dame, and that was at Notre Dame. And I know Penn State is not Notre Dame. It's Big Ten opponent, rival, so on and so forth. I do think, though, the Buckeyes are going to win this game. I don't believe they're going to cover. I think it's going to be close. I think the Buckeyes are going to win 27-24.
Ooh.
It's going to come down to this offensive line is going to have to allow this running game to succeed. And I think we don't know yet. We don't have the word. I think Dalen Hayden's going to play a big role today. I don't know if Travion's ready to go. We don't know about Mayan. Chip is coming off a concussion. Yeah. I think Dalen's going to be a focal point today, and he should be.
And I'm comfortable with that. I mean, honestly, I really am, because in the small sample size you've seen him, I mean, I think the only game that I really need is that Maryland game last year. I mean, he stole the show in that game last year, and he put the team on his back and kind of did his thing. I'm good with that. I mean, a tight game, a 3-point game, that's a heart attack waiting to happen for me. But I think it's going to be close. It's going to be wire to wire. It's going to be a full day of work for this Buckeye team today.
Yeah, and speaking of heart attack, nothing's going to come close to that Notre Dame finish. So even a 3-point game still wouldn't be that Notre Dame finish, which oh my, that was absolutely crazy. But is there anything else you want to add, man, before we wrap up this game day preview?
I don't think so. I mean, it is interesting to look at, though, this defense for Penn State. They're only averaging 8 points a game this year so far. Yeah. So I mean, that's going to be something interesting to watch. But yeah, I think the Buckeye defense is going to answer the call. I think they're really fired up for this football game today. And like I said, keep an eye on it. I think Aller throws his first pick today. So I hope so.
Love the boldness. I love the boldness, and we need it.
Yeah.
Him throwing a pick today. Oh man, back in Ohio. Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be something really special. Something really special. But as a reminder, guys, be sure to drop a like on today's video. Help that YouTube algorithm grow for Network 216. But also subscribe if you're brand new, as we're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Thank you guys to everyone who tunes into the game day previews every single week. It's a lot of fun for us. And again, we do these because you guys show so much interest and really like the content. So this has been episode 33 of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. We will talk to you all next week. And as always, go Buckeyes.